Hello, how are my friends doing today? I hope you're doing wonderful. I know I am. Thanks for stopping in today, guys, and talking with me about a new show. Today, we're not going to be talking about a movie, but we're going to be talking about a new series. Just came on Netflix. It's directed by, well, I say directed. It's directed by multiple people, but it's produced, and a couple of episodes are directed by Zack Snyder. Now, guys, y'all know how I feel about Zack Snyder. He's very hit or miss for me. Like 300, excellent, epic film. Watchmen, excellent, epic. Batman versus Superman, dog crap. Rebel Moon, soggy garbage bag juice. I mean, terrible films, right? But I've often wondered how his direction style translates to animated. Now, I know he did like Legends of the Guardians or something like that, or Ghosts of Ga'Hoole, Owls of Ga'Hoole, whatever. He did a computer animated film, but this is like a hand-drawn animated show. It's called Twilight of the Gods, right? Now, this show, it has a I don't want to say minimalistic art style. But it's drawn similar to Samurai Jack. It has a little more detailed than Samurai Jack, and the backgrounds are a lot more detailed and beautiful. But the art style for the characters is very linear. It's very Samurai Jack-esque. You know what I mean? So I liked the art style. I liked the fact that it was drawn and it was animated. It wasn't computer generated. I've said in many of my other reviews with animated films, I prefer hand-drawn stuff. It's a lost art, or it's becoming a lost art. You know, it seems like only the Japanese are still doing hand-drawn animation. Us here in America, we are obsessed with this computer-generated nonsense. But that's neither here nor there. The animation in this is beautiful. It's detailed, but it's minimalistic at the same time, which I really thought that it complemented the film and the show and the story being told. So let's get to the story. Basically, there is this red-haired maiden. Her name is Sigrid, and she is a Viking woman, a shield maiden, and she is her and her Viking lover are gonna get married, but then he's got to meet her people. Well, lo and behold, her people are frost giants. So Sigrid the frost giant, daughter of Glaumar, they go to have a wedding. She has a wedding wreath on her head, and all of a sudden Thor shows up, and he's looking for Loki, and he massacres the entire wedding party, aside from her and her lover. And this is when the story kind of takes off, and we see, Loki presents himself to her. They talk about revenge, and so she is really seeking revenge. This is her story of vengeance. But she makes pacts with all these different Norse gods, and there's Odin, and it's just the story itself is so unique, and it's written by Zach and Jay Oliva, and Jay Oliva is, he's big in the comic book world. He's behind some of our biggest heroes' greatest story arcs kind of thing, and so for him to be involved, I automatically knew that story was going to be choice. It was going to be really good. And it is. It is a fantastic tale that is a tale of revenge. And it's not for the faint of heart. It's not a kid's show, okay? You don't want your kids to watch this. There's nudity. There's graphic violence. There's, cursing like sailors. I mean, it's a very mature series, so you definitely don't want your little ones to be watching it and all that kind of stuff, and there's also a lot of themes in this that I think are interesting, because we're talking about the death of gods here, the death of Norse gods. She's hell-bent on killing Thor because he killed her entire family, right? And she gathers a party of all these like-minded people who have been wronged by the gods, and they're seeking vengeance. And so we follow them as they slay gods. But then in the end, I find this very interesting. We're towards the end, we see how Odin sees Jesus on the cross, right? And this is what this is really what solidified the rating I'm going to give this. So we're talking about the death of old gods, right? The Norse gods, Odin, Thor, Loki, Balder, all those guys. We're talking about that in this show. And so when Odin's having his great epiphany, when he's realizing what's happening, he sees Jesus on the cross. And I thought that was really, really interesting because there's a lot of Christian symbolism in the show towards the end. And it's interesting because Christianity came in and changed the Vikings' whole, perception of God or gods and all that kind of thing. So Odin saw Christ on the cross and knew that his death was imminent because the new God, the true God, had shown up, kind of thing, and he realized that his time and his pantheon of God's time was coming to an end. And I was like, golly, that's so symbolic, and that's such powerful imagery. I couldn't, it was really, really good. I thought the way that they were telling these stories. And that's why when I watched this, Zack Snyder, he makes these visually stunning, cinematic films. But when he applies himself and his abilities to an animated show, it's absolutely stunning. We have, like I said, that crisp artwork, but then we have his eye for a scene where, like, if somebody's getting knocked off of something, we get a far back shot, we get a wide shot of them falling to make it look bigger, like a farther drop. Like, it was just the way that Snyder and Oliva crafted this series was just a thing of beauty. Not only the storytelling was immaculate, the storytelling, it progressed the story. It was a mature story. It had themes and subjects that were, made you think. It wasn't just, oh, that's cool animation and violence, and it's kind of a basic story. No, this actually had something to say about the old gods and a new god and a mortal's perception of those gods type of thing. And I thought it was awesome. I thought it was one of the best animated shows I have seen in a very, very long time. It's up there with, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but it's an awesome show, and I highly recommend watching it. If you're a fan of, like, Vox Machina over on Prime, or you're a fan of Cowboy Bebop, or any of those kind of mature anime or animated type shows, this is definitely something you're going to want to check out. You can find it streaming over on Netflix. I'm giving it 5 stars, guys, because, again, blew me away. Fantastic storytelling, great animation, excellent voice acting. It's top-notch stuff, guys, and I highly recommend it. That's it for Twilight of the Gods. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. If you've seen the film, you know what? Leave a comment and tell me what you thought about it. If you haven't, you got some questions, or if you think I'm wrong about how I feel about it, put it in the comments section. But guys, I'm going to keep making them as long as you keep watching them. Peace out, my friends. God bless you, and I will see you soon.